And that's kind of another thing I wanted to mention. This kind of ties into it, because I've noticed you've mentioned a lot of times before about like, or a lot of times. I mean, I guess I've seen you mention like ideas or concepts that you want to like put in, but you're always worried about like having too long of a video or just things being too full and not making the important stuff kind of harder to find. What in general, how many like ideas do you feel like doesn't make it into the final product, and what's your process for picking and choosing or whatnot?
It's typically not a lot. Sometimes there have been segments that I've taken out from a script because I'm listening back over the voiceover, because once I voice everything over an audition, I'll take the time to sit down and then clip it all together into on the timeline to make it just a concise audio file, so I can bring that into Premiere later. Once I have all that on my timeline, then sometimes I'll be listening over something and be like, I don't like the way that's delivered, and I don't feel like re-recording it. That's getting cut. Sometimes it will be, there's a joke or a gag that I really want to do. I wanted to do this whole skit for the Other M review, where I've got this replica of the arm cannon, and I was going to be making a crack about how, well, if I was Adam, I wouldn't trust myself with Samus's gear either, and then there was going to be this whole scene of me like using the arm cannon to cook toast. I don't know. It was like these whole like stupid ideas that sometimes it's a visual gag that takes longer to make, and it's one of the unfortunate things about trying to do a weekly schedule is that there's so little time. There's no wiggle room to mess around with.
Of course. So would you say like most of the taking stuff out, it just happens on the moment? Like you just randomly feel like, you know what? This is not working. I'm going to take it out without a second thought. It's out. It's gone. It's yesterday.
Almost always. I can't, off the top of my head, I can't think of any other circumstance where I decide to take something else out otherwise.
Gotcha.
I think it's always just kind of a spur of the moment thing while I'm working on it.
Of course. And your projects are usually a good mix of kind of analytical like viewing of the game, you know, putting it on a critical level, and then also trying to very much to be comedic and whatnot. Do you find that there's ever like moments where you're like, this would just be too comedic to the point where it distracts from what I'm actually trying to say, or like vice versa, where it's like, I'm talking way too much about the physics of the game, I need to have something that kind of loosens the tension right here or something like that? Would you say is there's a general process, or is that just kind of all natural to you at this point as to like, oh, this would make a funny joke, so I'm going to do it or whatnot?
That's constant for me. I'm constantly worrying about whether or not I will say, again, I think one of the biggest names out there that really encouraged me to get into it was probably Some Call Me Johnny. It was Some Call Me Johnny and Cakecore. And they are at a bit of a contrast. Johnny can be really funny, but for the most part, I love the almost like
more subtleness?
There's almost like he's very eloquent.
Okay.
He's relaxing to listen to because he just he's a guy that just sounds.
And then
like
on the opposite side, there's Caddy, which is very bombastic and less methodical.
He's very explosive and expressive, and I love that about him too. It's like, I think there's definitely a place for both. Mm-hmm. And I will say, having actually met Caddy, wonderful human being. Of course, he's delightful man. Very 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 nice guy. But he is also like, he's very energetic in person too.
Absolutely, I imagine that. I can't imagine separating that.
Yeah, with a huge dose of shyness. I think that's something a lot of us have in common, where it's like, we can be super expressive on camera, but as soon as we're just like in front of a bunch of people,
it's very different. Hey there, you just watched a clip from my creative podcast. If you'd like to check out the full episode, you can support me over on Patreon, and if not, you can subscribe to check out more clips coming here soon.